I'm Roy Potter, a former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. Hi ladies and gentlemen, this will be kind of a potpourri, kind of a montage, a bunch of different things I'm going to bring up. The first is going to be about the arrests being made with child traffickers, human traffickers, child porn, etc. around the country, but particularly in California. Now, there was a story that came out here just a few days ago, actually it was just right away, about the arrest of a deputy California Attorney General. And the name might surprise you. I'm going to say the name. I don't know if it'll mean anything to everybody, but his name is Raymond Liddy. Yes, he's the son of G. Gordon Liddy of Watergate fame. G. Gordon Liddy also had a talk show and some other things. Now, I'm not accusing him. I'm not even saying that he actually did this. Of course, it hasn't been adjudicated yet. But you know, they found this child porn apparently on his computer. The circumstances, and I'm not privy to all of it of course, but it just seems like to me that this is a little too convenient. Now I don't know Liddy's past as far as what he goes after, the type of person he is. I'm talking about Raymond Liddy now, this California Deputy Attorney General. But it just seems like to me it's a little odd. Yes, he could be part of this because we know a lot of government people are involved in this, and then if people like him are doing this, then how can we say that we can trust our children to the state and these people that are supposed to find these criminals and prosecute them? But the other side of this is, and again, I'm not saying it one way or the other, but it smells a little funny to me, and it would just seem like to me that possibly he has been set up. You can, of course, remotely from a number of different ways. People who are involved in computers and the internet know this. Someone could have planted this on his computer. Now again, I don't know the story. I don't know his history. I don't know how he's done in his prosecutions or where his politics lie. But I think that this is something that we need to look at very closely. Anyway, a lot of strange things on this one, so I'm not sure what to think. But what is important is that the MSM isn't talking about it very much. Now, it could be because they're playing that game, because that's how they do it anyway with all these people. Or it could be that, yeah, there really is something else going on here. I don't know, but we need to keep an eye on this one for a lot of reasons, because people who are out there actually trying to do something about this, or any patriot, any conservative, any Second Amendment advocate, any vet, anybody who is out there standing up for the Constitution and those types of things could have these items planted on their computers and they not even know about it. So, and I'm sure everybody's aware of that. So at any rate, again, I'm looking at this from both sides and I'm not sure what to think about it at this point. All right, I'm going to move on again, kind of to supplement what I said in the last video, because Rush Limbaugh came out this last couple of days and said that he doesn't have any proof, he doesn't have any inside information, but he has, from his experience looking at the situation, the concern that retired generals are being approached by the intel community, by the deep state, etc., to help lead a military violent coup against Trump and the current government. Now, it's amazing that Limbaugh said this, because I haven't really gone that far, but of course that's certainly part of the way this would work. There have been examples of this in the past where the deep state has come to generals, normally active duty generals, but it depends on the circumstances. So I just want to remind everybody that this is real, that Limbaugh's hit something here that's very, very likely true. As a matter of fact, in all honesty, it can't be any other way. I'm sure that the deep state is in fact soliciting this around. I'd like to name a bunch of names, but that probably wouldn't be fair, but I will name one because he already has influence in the White House right now through McMaster, and that's Petraeus. So I'm very suspect of Petraeus. I'm very suspect of any general, and there are at least 3 of them that I'm aware of maybe 4, maybe more, who knew about the Pat Tillman assassination, knew of it, and helped to cover it up, or just covered it up. Why? So, yeah, they didn't want the military to look bad in this situation with what was really going on in Iraq and Afghanistan, when Pat Tillman became very disillusioned about what was going on and what he saw, which a lot of our troops have too, but most of them just don't know what to say about it. I mean, guarding the poppy fields, you know, and there's a lot more to it than that. So at any rate, I wanted to bring this up, that yes, that is a very good possibility, and the intelligence community is not backing the American people, at least not the people that make the decisions. And we saw that with Clapper and with Brennan this last week, when they called for a coup against the president if he fires Mueller. And of course that's just to cover. There's a lot of other things that they would do a coup for. But at any rate, the fact of the matter is that this is a real danger, and since the intelligence community is basically backing these leftist progressives, etc., and by and large is responsible for a lot of the problems we're having in our country now. Remember, I've said the intel community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. The fact of the matter is, and I've said that several times, but I want to emphasize it here, that they could cover for these military units, these generals, whatever, to set this thing up, okay, and to execute it, by not giving information to decision makers, to the good guys. So it's a heads up. We all need to be ready, because this thing could go south very easily at a moment's notice. Make sure that you have enough to carry you through provisions I'm talking about for at least 2 weeks, because that's about probably how long this thing, whether it succeeds or fails, 2 weeks, it's going to disrupt the country pretty significantly. So I wanted to bring that up. You know, Trump really is alone, and I've been so frustrated, as have most of you, with the progress or lack of it. And I don't mean by legislation and things like that. I'm talking about cleaning out the government, going after the deep state, the leftists, the left behind Obama people, the progressives, the communists, the people who are anti-Constitution and anti-America, and there are loads of them throughout the bureaucracies, but particularly, of course, in the DOJ and the Department of State. And I saw where Tillerson and Trump are cleaning out some of that there in the State Department. But anyway, you get my drift here. So I do understand that Trump's alone, and he's trying to, you know, he's trying to use the best people he can. And I've seen some complaints about, well, he's still bringing in these deep state people, these neocons, etc., and he's causing the swamp to stick around. I'm going to, again, as I've said in a couple of other things, I don't like this, but in a couple of other videos where I've addressed this, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to point out to a movie because I think it illustrates what's going on here. If you ever saw the Batman movie called Dark Knight, in that, Gary Oldman plays, at that point, Lieutenant Gordon, who is going to become Commissioner Gordon. But he's in the office with the city prosecutor. And the prosecutor's saying, you know, we know that you have people on your team that are compromised. You know, what are you going to do? How can you proceed with these people that are compromised? You know, you got to get rid of them. And Lieutenant Gordon, Gary Oldman, says, I have to use what I have available to me. No, I don't like it, but this is how the cards were dealt. I have to use what I have available to me. And that's just the way it is. And I think that's the situation with Trump. He doesn't know a lot of people inside the political establishment that could help him. I've heard that from a large number of people, particularly a very good friend of mine in California who kind of balances me out and tells me about, well, now slow down here, Roy, and I've talked to you about him before, that he pulls back the reins because I'm the gung-ho soldier type. I want to fix things. And he's saying, well, hold on, you know, Trump's got this problem. So there's a scene from a movie that really sums up what Trump is up against. Does that mean he's stuck with this? No, there are ways to get around it. I've talked about it. Craig Sawyer's talked about it. We've talked about directorships, bringing people in that don't have to go through the confirmation process at this point. He could utilize, and I know it's kind of like a last resort, but Article 2, Section 2, we've talked about that. Anyway, a number of ways to get around it if he really wants to. Now, one of the things that Trump talks about is law and order, and you've heard me say this before. Law and order in what way? Just to the people, that they have to obey the law, they have to abide by the order and all of that. The real problem is, and I've said it before, that the head, when it rots, the rest of the body rots. And President Trump is going to have to turn this scenario around because it's rampant in the government. He sees it in his own intelligence agencies. And he knows that the MSM is an arm of the intelligence agencies. Okay? The problem is in the government. When the government is corrupt, criminal, etc., etc., and then you're demanding the people obey the law, you can't do that, President Trump. You got to clean out your house first. Do you realize that? The people aren't bad, by and large. The people aren't bad. Okay? They're being railroaded. They're being oppressed by these bureaucracies and these evil people in government. Hillary Clinton, Harry Reid, and we can go through the whole list. But I wanted to remind everybody that the badge is not the law. Okay? It really isn't. The badge doesn't make the law. I'm not saying legislate the law. I mean, just because they wear a badge doesn't mean that they're lawful. Oftentimes we see that they aren't. Okay? So in reality, some of the people that are out here, the conservatives, the constitutional, the Second Amendment, vets, etc., they're actually lawful. They're actually the law because they're following the Constitution, because the government refuses in most instances to follow the Constitution, which is a shield of protection against the government for the people. And we've gotten away from that. As Trump says, we don't worship government, we worship God. Well, okay, President Trump, then you're going to have to start looking at what you mean by law and order and clean the house out of these different agencies of all this corruption, all of this oppression, this tyranny, etc., etc. Because the people don't see the government acting lawfully right now. And I think that you understand that, but I just wanted to say it. Okay, I could go into a lot of other things, but I don't want to make this one long. Again, we're looking at a really bad situation with this possible coup. Keep your eyes on the horizon and your ears to the ground, and have some provisions for at least 2 weeks. Longer, of course, if you can, but at least that. Out for now.